First World War. Victory had been ours, but we would soon fail at the peace that followed. Our leaders appeased the growing evil instead of fighting it, sacrificing our future. We vainly reinforced our borders with concrete while we evacuated our children from the cities. There was something terrible brewing with our old enemy, and no one seemed able to stop it. The world was about to find out what happens when an entire nation is swept by madness. What would you do? Surrender? Collaborate? Or resist?
France, a travel guide for lovers. Visit the inspiring Eiffel Tower, sacred Notre Dame Cathedral, quaint villages, intimate cafes, romantic surroundings, and the utmost hospitality Europe has to offer.
In direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles, Germany spent the 1930s rebuilding their military into a massive fighting force that Hitler planned to use in his conquest of Europe. In response, the French government poured their resources into the Maginot Line, a massive self-contained fortification that ran the entire length of their eastern border. Unfortunately, the Maginot Line turned out to be one of the greatest miscalculations of modern military history. Germany's Luftwaffe simply flew over it. France's formal surrender was finalized in just a matter of weeks. tanks were a cornerstone of the Nazi blitzkrieg attack strategy. Though armored fighting vehicles were developed on all sides, it was General Heinz Guderian of the German army whose groundbreaking strategies and tactics led to the creation of the dreaded panzer divisions he later commanded. Other generals, such as Rommel, used the destructive power of these multi-ton armor-plated Goliaths to put Germany far ahead of the Allies in the early days of the war. By 1940, the combined armed forces of Nazi Germany were unlike anything the modern world had ever seen. After their brutal success in Poland, the Wehrmacht prepared to unleash their lightning war against the West. It was over quickly. Here is the band of criminals that was the Axis leadership at the beginning of the war. Adolf Hitler, Führer of the Third Reich, the man who personifies true evil. Benito Mussolini, an incompetent thug who sold out his own people. Hermann Göring, the decadent Reich Marshal in charge of the Luftwaffe. And Heinrich Himmler, head of the Nazi SS who oversaw the greatest crimes against humanity. Himmler was a mentally unstable man who truly believed the crazy mythology that he and his fellow SS deviants created in their efforts to establish an independent state within Nazi Germany. Unfortunately, Himmler took his own life before he could be brought to trial, unlike Göring, who was convicted and sentenced to death at the Nuremberg War Crimes Tribunal, and who is no doubt spending eternity with the rest of his friends. The European air war that started with the RAF in the Battle of Britain was continued by the forces of the Army Air Corps. Nimble fighters piloted by brave young men roamed the countryside, attacking any target of opportunity, disrupting the German war machine on the ground and in the air, while heavy American bombers made daring daylight raids against the Third Reich. But there was a heavy price to be paid. By war's end, almost 1 out of every 10 Americans killed had been a member of the 8th Air Force. The ability to precisely hit a long-range target with an explosive warhead was only a theory when the war started. The Allies experimented with radio-controlled drones, while the Japanese used human kamikazes to inflict damage in the Pacific. At their Peenemünde research lab, however, German scientists developed the V1 flying bomb. Almost 30 feet long and powered by a pulse jet engine, thousands of these vengeance weapons were launched from sites all over Western Europe, inflicting heavy damage. After the war, captured V1s were used by the United States to leapfrog into a new realm of guided missile development. Though progress would still have the occasional setback. Fighting was fierce as Allied troops battled house to house and town to town in the days following the invasion. Despite heavy casualties, the Allies soon had the upper hand. The Nazi war effort was beginning to collapse. This news swept Paris, where the city erupted as everyday citizens joined with the resistance in rising up against their Nazi occupiers. Fear and anguish turned to joy and elation as the last German forces evacuated and the first Allied tanks appeared. What had seemed impossible to even dare think in the darkest days of the Blitzkrieg had unbelievably come true.
Well, I need only to be near a cork of a battle, and I get the full benefit of it. But here I got a glass of something pressed into my hand, and I sipped out of it and meandered until I came to the terrace where General Donovan, surrounded by junior officers, was trying to hit a target across from that terrace on a facing slope. And as he noticed me, He said, "Try your luck, soldier." Well, I always had poor eyesight, and I had already 2 sips of the drink, whatever it was, but order is order, so I clicked my heels, saluted and said, "By your leave, sir," and grabbed that 45, aimed that 45 in the direction of the target. My goodness, to my great surprise and surprise of everybody else, the target responded. Then I quickly opened the 45 pistol, threw out the casing, turned it back, said thank you, made an about face, and marched off in a straight line, more or less. So this is how I met General Donovan, my one and only encounter. But since that day at the Algiers headquarters, I was known as a sharpshooter.
For gallantry in action and an unwavering steadfastness to the principles of liberty, equality, and brotherhood, we proudly extend to you the highest honor in France, la Légion d'honneur. You've come a very long way, my friend, and have a strong list of outstanding accomplishments of which to be proud. For demonstrating a seldom seen fortitude in the face of almost certain defeat. For displaying an uncommon commitment to self-sacrifice, courage, and integrity. You have been awarded the DreamWorks Interactive Medal of Valor with clusters. This commendation is only earned by a very select few. All of us here at DWI send you our sincerest congratulations.
Yeah, you lose your name, your family will never know, you lose all your friends, you have nobody, and if you are arrested, we don't know you.
And then all sorts of people started in the neighborhood asking about me, my family, everybody. I had security clearance.
It was worth every minute of it, I think, and I hope that people realize how important the women were in the OSS effort. He got to talking, and he found out that I had been studying Japanese and that I was a newspaper woman. And he said, "Well, would you like to work for the government?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but on one condition, that I want to go overseas, because that's where I think all the action is." And he said, "I think I can guarantee that." And I said, "Well, then what would I do?" And he said, "I can't tell you until you sign up with us." And then that's how I got in. I was curious, but I did want to see some action. And that was what happened to me.
There was a sizable number of Czechs and Slovaks working as labor for the Germans. So we hit them with a leaflet called inviting them to cross the lines. And for that, 600 guys that crossed the lines and deprived the German army of labor, I got my Bronze Star.
I mean, London was not a walk in the park. We had the V1s, V2s from 40s, and a few Dorniers, Junkers, and I mean, there was the London docks were known as Buzz Bomb Alley, and it really wasn't fun. But I mean, we were all fatalists, and if your name's on it, so be it. If you survive, well, lucky you. The story was, if you heard a V2, chances are you'd survive. If you didn't, it didn't matter anyway, because you'd be gone. The V1s were nasty. They really were. Very nasty. You all didn't have those, did you? No. But the king and queen would always go, the flag, the royal standard always flew on Buckingham Palace. They never left London, and they would go down to where the worst bombing had been in person. And oh, what a morale builder. And so would Churchill. Believe you me, the war plans, I think I'm right in saying the German war plans, are America was next. The U-boats were all ready, and if that had happened, you'd all be speaking German on one coast and Japanese on the other, probably.